recording now.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, so it's showing as Victoria E, yes, like you were saying. Yes. Okay, good. So how are you?
I'm all right. Yourself?
Good. I'm glad that we finally managed to do this.
Finally, yes. Forever looking forward to it.
Yes,
Well,
and I mean sometimes it takes time to set these things up, and once we've done it, then it becomes a bit easier. Once we've started now, uh, then we'll be able to do that, right? So what I did actually, and it's one of the things that I would be able to show you how to do, is I actually had created a roadmap
okay.
for us to kind of like try and follow, and then we can always adjust it, especially because now we you know we're looking up at we're looking at doing these, and we're recording this, and we can use that as well as a way of um as a way of learning as well, right? So if I share my screen with you, um there, can you see that screen?
Yes, I can, but it's a bit small. So if we can increase it a little bit, is it
I think
possible?
on your side you need to rearrange it on your side.
Mm.
Hmm.
Let me see. Yeah, it's a lot better. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you can see this. So what I did is I created basically I created a folder for you with
Okay.
um, a PDF of the things. And one of the things I will talk about context. I took this email, if you notice this, the
Mm.
email that you initially sent me, and I was using that as context. And
Mm.
then also, if you remember, we had the scoping call, and basically this is the what we talked about that day. So basically,
Mm.
as a transcript, I recorded this on my watch.
Okay.
But then because we have this session that we're doing, because it's recorded, we would also be able to do something similar. And
Okay.
so you just keep in mind that when we're talking about context and everything, when I mention context, it's basically when we're dealing with AI, we want to try and make sure that we give the AI as much context as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, and so based on that, I think we might probably be hitting the ground running, I suppose, because based on that, I was then able to create the roadmap. So if I show you initially the roadmap of what we, based on how what we've talked about, what we would be looking to do is this. So you can see this, which I'll be able to send to you. So you notice here it says, "Welcome, Irene. This document is your personal guide for a AI coaching program. It outlines what we're working towards together." So based on what we've talked about, and we've kind of like created a checklist of what we will be trying to do, and then we can update it together as we go. The goal is not to overwhelm you with information. We'll go on one focus step at a time. So I'll show you something, and then you can try it, and then we'll review together, and then we can build on it. And then by the end of this, we're hoping that you'll have a genuine competitive advantage for your work.
Mm.
So based on what we talked about, your goals were to, and we can always adjust this based on when we talk, based on what you feedback as well, to become confident and capable with AI tools, particularly Claude, mainly because I'd recommended Claude to you. And I said, okay, this would really give you the competitive advantage. based on our discussions, and then also use AI to work faster and smarter. So things like analysis, reporting, proposal, presentation, without compromising quality. And then understand how to work around the restrictions of NHS Copilot. Because you mentioned again that your boss does some things, but then you have this restriction on the Copilot and NHS, and it doesn't give you that much, which we then talked about Claude. Uh,
Mm,
and I mean ChatGPT, but personally, for my day to day, I use Claude.
yeah.
And this, I used this to with Claude to create this document. And then uh, the last one is to stay ahead of the curve in your profession, so that AI is a tool you control, not a threat to your career. So what we're trying to look at really is, again, based on what we talked about, we said that we're going to do 2 hours, which is kind of like onboarding and setting up. And then in the subsequent sessions, we talked about 1 hour sessions focused on a specific skill or use case, which you send me an example of a use case. And the rhythm that we'll try to do as much as we can is I'll show you something and then you try it, because it's more about you trying it, not me showing you all of these fancy things. And then when you try to do them yourself, you're not able to do them. And then we can start thinking about how you implement it in your work, and then we'll build on it. And so when we get a chance, I'll give you like a small task that you can do, something real that you can work on, which you gave me one example. And then the implementation is where you will start seeing this, because what we want is for you to be able to try something and then use it and think, actually this is actually quite useful for me. And then we can move on to other things. I put Microsoft Teams based on what we've talked about, but we've changed that. And we can keep this separate from your work environment, which is also quite important for our sessions. So we can record things freely and play around with things. And then we had talked about these investments, like for the first session, it captured that as well. Subsequent session, we agreed on 80 per hour. And then we talked about Claude Pro, which I highly, highly recommend. And either 180 a year, which works out to 15, and then 20 per month. But what I've actually have today is when I'll set you up, I have an invitation. Claude gave me an invitation that you can actually use Pro for a week for free.
Pro.
Yes. So I'll send you an invite for Claude Cowork,
Okay.
and then you can use that for a week.
Okay.
Yeah. So based on kind of like the things that we've talked about is what we want to look at today is that. So getting started with Claude, which was meant to be Monday 26th. We've moved that, shifted that. And so our focus today is mainly on setting up that pro account. And then we'll talk about very quickly Claude versus ChatGPT versus Copilot, the things that you can do within those. And then I would then mainly focus on the interface tool of Claude. Because did you say you said you don't use Claude, right?
No, in the office we don't use Claude.
And you've never used Claude before?
My first time of being in contact with Claude is our awareness was when we had that NHS training which you took.
Okay.
You were the trainer, so that was the first time. And so just last week I've tried to play around
Mhm.
on here with Claude, just going into Claude and then which is the free platform, and ask one or two questions. Other than that, I haven't really used Claude. So I'll take it that I am a um I'm an idiot at Claude.
Okay, that's fine. So so that's kind of like what we really, really need to get into today. And then I mean we'll talk about token limits, etc. Not too much today, but as we go, we'll also be updating on that as well. So that's kind of like what we want to really just focus on, that you're really, really comfortable with this. And then in the other session, we can then start looking at more things. And like I said, we can always adjust this. And this anatomy of a great prompt, contact task and format, which we talked about in that training, finance specific prompting patterns, and I'll be able to give you some prompts and patterns, iterating on outputs. So when you do something, then you can refine it and push Claude to go deeper. And then also you can ask Claude to check your work and build,
Okay.
verification or and a review into your workflow. Now, as a way of example of in terms of like financial analysis and reporting, I can quickly show you a few examples of things that I have done just recently. I was able to build this. If I can just show you now, one of my clients, I've just built like a dashboard for them. I mean, this is confidential information. This is Claude. It's confidential information, but I trust that you will only, it's for your eyes only. So I
Yeah.
built them an HTML site where they can analyze their clients, right? So they can say in October, how much did we get incoming? So applied pharmacy and all these amounts, which also gives them a, a dashboard that shows their income and the directed drawings and expenses. Also, I thought it would be a good idea for them to be able to see who their biggest client is. So it shows their clients here, and this would change based on what they select. So if they select, they say the month May 25, how much did we get money coming in? It was 900. How much did we spend? We spent this 67.95 on the loans. If they go to July, it shows that July nothing came in, but the outgoings were negative. And then it shows on the graphs here as well. And then it has an analysis and commentary section, which shows that amount, director's loan is significantly overdrawn, and then corporation tax, etc., and all of these insights. And also what I'm working on is for them to then build them an app for them where they can just drag their statement into here and it populates for them. So that's
Drag
that
their statement. Is it their bank statement?
is their bank statement. Yes.
Okay.
Another one is, so this is the Claude on the desktop, which I will be showing you. Another one is this one, where I was working on accounts and working on creating abridged accounts. Actually, I struggled a bit with access when I was away. So I was using what is called Dispatch. If you look at this, where I can use my phone to text my AI, and my AI will do this things for me on my desktop at home.
Okay.
So I created a trial balance for them using AI. So if I go into the folder, this is the trial balance. So I did a trial balance, I created a trial balance, and then compared 24-25 to 23-24. And I was able to actually then deploy this. Let's see if I can see it. So this is an analysis of, again, confidential information, analysis of their accounts. So, and it gave me more insight on the things that I needed to. And obviously, I would have then gone to make some adjustments, but as a way of starting, this was a bank statement, categorizing it. I taught it how to categorize sales, entertainment,
Mm,
telecommunications, all of these things. It did that for me. And then I had two statements. There's another statement. So the ledger codes are here based on something that I had established already. And then we do a transaction analysis, working towards this is a bit small, but working towards the trial balance, and then getting ready the trial balance to be ready for posting.
mm.
So we then have the trial balance, which I would then go ahead and clean up and post into my system that I post.
Which system do you use?
I use TextCalc.
Texcal. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Another one is my niece. I created this yesterday. My niece wanted to do an invite for wedding. She's getting married in Zimbabwe.
Oh, that's nice.
And so she said to me, "Oh, I would like to have RSVP."
Yeah.
And so I created this for them. So this is an HTML, which I just right now I've not connected it. I just did a demo, and the demo is you can see right now. It's you can actually interact with it.
Mm,
And our idea that we talked about is we give them. You've got a guest list of about 200. They can
mm,
search here to find their name. So if I look for Tapua, for example, you can search that so you can see it's interacting with that.
yeah.
Uh, and then once they find their name, they put the pin. So here, Tapua Moyo found, they put their pin, and then they can select, sorry, I cannot attend, or yes, I'll be there. How many people am I going to come with? 2 or 3. And then um, any any dietary requirements, and then they can submit it. So notice here it says the pin you entered does not match our records, stuff like that. So I've not connected this. Again, this is a demo that I deployed to her,
Mm,
and I just sent it as an HTML file.
mm,
So these are all the the different things that you can do. I also created this based on, if you remember, we did a session on when we were doing presentations.
yes.
I created this site, which I can then just connect. This was kind of like I wanted to just have something that says about me, what services I provide, if people want to get in touch. So it works like a website. Give it the color scheme, and it works with my color scheme once it really knows about me. So what I
Mm,
deliver: AI adoption for finance teams, finance curriculum and assessment design, because I'm in university, financial learning transformation, and then also as a fractional CEO,
mm,
which, as I showed you, some of the things that I've been doing with my clients. I don't know why it's zooming in for some reason.
mm.
Let's Yes. So you can see that you know really the world is your oyster, to be honest. It's what you want
Yes,
to do.
it is. It
it
is.
it's knowing what you want to do, and what you can build, how you want to build something, and all of those things. But
Yeah.
otherwise, you've got you've got the opportunity to do all of these things. Now I don't know why it's zooming in, but anyway, we've already seen what this is. Just my CV. And what this is based on, if I can go on to show you, this is based on, I've got projects. Now you notice here is the project of, um, this is called Claude Cowork. So if you notice here, it says file, edit. This is actually an app that I have on my machine.
Okay.
Right? But if I go online, and show you some of the things that I have on my on my Claude, the web.
Mm.
So we find Claude, and that's I suppose that provides a really good segue to what we're trying to do right now.
Claude not found.
Yeah, I think it's trying to just find the some particular artifact that I worked on. So I just need Claude project. So
The
oh
difference. Claude project, Claude co-worker. What's the
yes.
what,
Now we'll talk about that slowly. So this is probably your Claude. So you're probably seeing this right when you log in.
mm,
Mhm. Now, if I open ChatGPT right now, I've not been using ChatGPT that much. So you notice I'm on a free because I'm almost like transitioning personally more to to Claude.
mm,
I paid this when I need to do something, and I use that as and when I need to. But this would be very similar to the way that this is actually quite new in ChatGPT. So you can upload files and have them in the library. Now, if you remember from our, I don't know if do you remember what project was? Because I did talk about projects when we do the training, and what does a project do and how does a project help us?
mm, I'll I'll have to make reference. No.
Okay. Now, so what we kind of like do is when we did the training for NHS, if you recall,
Mm,
would actually find it. When we did the NHS training, I would have talked about prompting, how to prompt, and so that
yeah.
would be, that might be a good one to also just go into to refresh, and that would probably maybe save you some time to in terms instead of like me going back to all of those things. Then
Yeah.
you you would be able to. So where do we have NHS Gen AI for presentation? Right. So
You
uh
said you were going.
sorry.
Okay. You said you were going to share something with us, didn't you?
Yes,
You.
and if sharing those things, I would give them to BPP. And did they send those things over to you?
No,
Right. Okay, that's
they
interesting.
didn't. They didn't.
Yes. So this was like the vital care, the zip folder where we
Mm,
had documents, if you
mm,
recall, and
yeah.
I shared these prompts, for example.
Mm,
This was an Excel one. I think this would be one of those things where I said I will share with you, right?
yeah.
Like some of these things, it's like a prompt library. So,
Mm,
and I kind of like gave you in terms of like if you're trying to generate something for, I gave Claude uh,
yeah.
and interact with this. I'll be able to send this to you anyway uh,
Yes, please.
if you need it. um,
Yes.
so in terms of ChatGPT, um, context setting, like setting the role. And I gave an example. I would have gone through this and in my sessions to say, okay, you're a communication specialist preparing board presentation for vital care. I gave you accounts for vital care and I created a mini scenario. Now, again, all of those scenarios that I created were mainly based on um, stuff that I'd created from scratch
Mm,
using Claude. So created a fictional um, company called Vital Care Foundation. Picked, a bit of a color scheme. This is also similar to my color scheme. I use green, this
mm,
green for my company, um, and I tried to match with some of the NHS colors as well. All of those things, um, did them in AI. So you're a financial communication specialist preparing for board presentation for Vital Care. I'm attaching a document, then document name. Please analyze the key trends and suggest 6 slide presentations suitable for trustees. And then it's kind of like says to you, when do you use this? First message when uploading a data file. And then the tips here, you want to be specific with your audience. The audience is trustees, gives very different output. So this would be the training that I would have done. And then, for example, data analysis, analyze the P&L, analyze this P&L and identify top 3 trends for a trustee board and that they should know about. Be concise, use plain English. And then it would have done that. So if we go to, so I can send that as well. And then
Yes.
I also then gave you a prompt library, right? So this prompt library for AI for finance presentations, which would be data analysis prompt, the financial insight, variance analysis, so when you're analyzing. So data set, for example, again, we're going, you are an FP&A analyst preparing management update. Analyze the data set below and identify top 3 drivers, largest numbers, this. So that's another one that I gave you. I will send to you as well if you don't have it. And I had also generated these financial statements. Again, you know,
Okay. Yeah.
generated the P&L, quarterly forecast, budget, and then summary. Then with the summary overview that it created for us, just giving us this. So again, these are some of the things that we talked about and that you are able to do if you're interacting with those prompts and playing around with them. So like financial summary overview based on that, on those prompts. So it gives you an executive summary, profit and loss, key highlights, your metrics, financial year 22, 23, 24, cost breakdown. Similar to if you think about the HTML site that I showed you that looked like it was the internet for a
Yeah.
client. And then you can then interact with this to see how you want to deploy this. Do you want to deploy this as an Excel? Do you want to deploy this as a site with some analytics? Do you want to deploy this as a report like this? So those are the things that we did in that training. Again, you will probably find access to this if it opens. Again, I can always, just take this and drop this to you, so you can have access to all of these. So
Yes.
that would not be a problem. I will share this with you. I'm trying to open them and just show you around the PowerPoint as well. Just like what I've done with this. Oh, it's opened. Okay. So here's the PowerPoint again that we did. Again, stuff that you have access to. So
Have you just sent it by email?
I will attach because I need to zip it and then I'll
Yeah. So by Outlook.
if I zip it, compress, and I can attach this for you. So it's still the Outlook, right?
Yes, Outlook.
So I've attached that and I've just sent that over to you. So you should receive an email right now.
Okay.
And so within that, you have this. So it's just basically the whole folder, everything that I've shown you. I've shown you. It's in there. So you're able to interact with those. Okay. So you notice that here I kind of like started with saying introducing the fictional company. And then I talked about the 5 tools, even notebook, gamma, all of these. And again, this we were focusing more on presentations. But when we're really going into getting our hands dirty with financial analysis and stuff, we would want to use Claude.
Mm.
And then we talked about this. So I gave you this data pack, that's what you have. And then I talked about some of the things that you can do within the different tools. Then I went into ChatGPT. And again, you notice the first thing I talked to you about today was setting context. Now, this is the single most important. Now, I've been very busy. I know, I remember I said in that training, I said I was going to launch more things on my YouTube, which I plan to. One of my most important videos that I'm planning to then release, I've already named it, is context is everything.
Yeah.
So the most important thing that you, as you work and you do all these things, is it's very, very important to give your AI the context. And this is where all of these things are lost.
Mm.
When we get things wrong, when we get things right, this is where everything happens on setting the context. And so it, in terms of presentation, I said, okay, set the context, tell ChatGPT, Claude, your any kind of AI, your role, organization, audience, purpose before anything else. So it's like, okay, right, this is what we're doing. So now I actually, if I'll show you some of the prompts that I use, I actually talk to Claude as if I'm talking to a personal assistant to say, okay, we have a new task today. This is what we're doing. Today you'll be working as this person, and this is the organization, and we're preparing this um, for this audience. In this case, we're particularly talking about audience because we're doing presentations. So we want to make sure that if we're presenting to executives, it's a different kind of message. If we're presenting to people who don't know anything from the start,
Mm.
it's a different kind of approach. And I've even seen some people who have said, if I give you an example, if we go into this one on the free one, so I could go on this. Now I'm going to talk through it because I've got my mic. I think I mentioned to you that I use this one called Whisper Flow, where I talk
Yes.
into it and then it types for me to make life easy.
Whisper flow.
Yes, I'll show you.
Mm.
Yeah. Explain the accounting theory as if I'm an 8-year old. So you notice here, if I do this and go on to, let's say in 100 words, so it will go like this. Um, and you notice here, it says accounting theory is like a rule book keeping score. Imagine you run a lemonade stand. You need to know how much money comes in. You spend this, and you not notice given sugar whether you meant a profit. Accounting theory helps you decide what is best, etc., etc. Right? And then if I go explain as if I am a 50-year-old. Now you notice that the output that we're getting is totally different, right?
Mm.
For an 8-year-old, it's talking about lemonade stand, this and that. Doesn't really talk about any conceptual framework, theories, and stuff like that. But if I get to 50, I'm sure I should be able to then know um, things like the theories, normative theory, positive theory, and when things should be recognized. It's even given me links to the International Accounting Standards Board, Financial Accounting Standards Board. I don't know why it keeps zooming in. It's my mouse, right? Or if I go explain accounting theory as if I am a first year student in university. Totally different, right? It's bringing in those theories, but now it starts off, if you notice here, uh, it's now saying accounting theory is a connection of principles. It's giving more of a textbook example. If
Mm,
I take that same one and I say, explain this as if I am a master student who has a first class in an accounting degree. So, four different things. Now, do you notice how, like, all of these are all different? Here, I've kind of
mm.
like,
Wow.
do you see that?
Yeah.
So, this is kind of like why I say context is everything.
Mm,
Because now it's kind of like from here, it's recognizing that, okay, well, it's you're a 50-year-old, you have general knowledge. It's just giving you things about, okay, there's a thing called International Accounting Standard Board, there's Financial Accounting Standards Board, and then you can go into it. But then I said, now I'm a first year student. You notice this first line is getting into defining things for me.
mm,
Think of accounting theories as the foundation of a house. The foundation is not always visible, etc., etc. The accounting theory, how we recognize revenue, etc., etc., etc. Then it also notes it talks about the conceptual framework. Here, it never
mm,
talked about the conceptual framework for a
mm,
50-year-old. There, we are not even close to a conceptual frame, any kind of framework. It's just like, okay, all you're trying to do is account for lemon and sugar and how many you sell.
yeah.
And then this conceptual framework, I go on to say masters. Notice how it doesn't really pay too much attention with conceptual framework because I say to it, I have a first class in an accounting degree.
Mm,
So it's not going to tell me about conceptual frameworks. It says at the master's level, accounting theory is not merely concerned with mechanics of financial reporting, but with underlying questions of how economic reality should be presented, why interest of financial reporting serves, and what constitutes useful accounting information.
mm,
And then it goes into normative theory, positive in theoretical perspectives. Again, now we start going into agency theory,
mm.
stakeholder theory, and critical perspective. And does that's eye opening, right?
It is.
What does
Yeah.
this kind of like from the way you've been interacting with AI? What does this kind of like inform you for your kind of like, oh, that's just this simple example?
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to, like you said, the prompting, eh, it's, I don't want to use the word garbage in, garbage out, but it's sort of linked. Whatever you ask for, that's what you're going to get.
Yes.
And if you're able to, streamline exactly, you want to get the best out of the machine. The machine has it's got all the sort of information that been pumped into them, which we as humans are not able to carry. So what are
Yes.
you going to get out of it? Is what is that prompting? Is the context you give to it? You're able to draw the best out of it.
Yes, because and that's all based on, again, like I said, I'm planning to kind of like just do something like this where I just talk about context and calling it context is everything, right?
Mm,
Because with that, depending on what my goal is, I have to define my goal of what am I trying to achieve.
to achieve.
And so for example, I could say I'm working on a book to teach students um, under 10 years to understand accounting from scratch. This book is going to be 10 pages. Can you suggest the structure for the book what I would
Mm.
put on the page, the pictures that I would put within those
Is
pages,
it,
and
is it
how to
listening to you?
yes, it's listening to me.
Oh goodness me. Is this the free free chat GPT one?
Now,
Oh,
what I'm combining is combining two things. I'll show you. So this is what I use. It's called Whisper Flow. This has
okay.
been for me the best thing that has happened to me. I think I paid um how many? I think I'm on Pro, right? So
Mm.
you notice that I'm on Pro. I think I paid. I don't know why it's it's doing that. It's I want to see how much. I don't remember how much I paid for this. I think I paid yeah, so it's £144 a year. But I think initially I paid £70, I think. But if I'm being really, really honest, this is the with these AI, if you're we were just doing when we were in Barcelona, we took some university students to do training on AI, and
Okay.
we were kind of like just telling them and showing them that it depends like on how you're going to use it. Personally, for me, this has saved me so much time. If you just notice how right now I've been prompting, I'm
Mm.
just pressing a button on my keyboard, I talk into my mic, and it just understands. But now I'm combining a few skills, me knowing exactly how to prompt. This is a quite sophisticated prompt in terms of I've said, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're aiming to do. Teach students under 10 years what to do. Uh, the book is going to have, be 10 pages. I'm being specific. Can you suggest the structure? That's the request that I've done. So if I want, I could actually go like this and break this down into what I'm asking it to do,
Mm.
right? Um, and this is what I'm, and that's a prompt. If I do that, it's going to, there you go. Page one, what is accounting? Letting go. How much comes in? How much comes? It's given that lemonade stand picture. Activity, count the coins in the average box. Page two, money comes in. Text, average sold 5 cups of lemonade, each cost this amount. This picture, show 5 customers, £1 coin for each. And you notice now it's saying you're out of messages because I'm using the free model.
Mm. You're out of messages with the
Yes.
most advanced.
So you see, then no, this is the free. This is ChatGPT.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
Yes. So let's go to Claude, which is the one I pay for, and it says to
Why
me
don't you pay for Chat GPT?
because I use Claude extensively. I used
Okay.
to pay. I used to pay for them both. I think this month I haven't paid. I think when I do the trainings, when I have a training session, I will pay for ChatGPT. Personally, I prefer having access to Claude all the time because Claude is my go-to. You notice I've got Claude on my machine as uh, Claude Code and ChatGPT. It's okay for some things, but I think Claude is, for me personally, has gone ahead to be the better one and the
So
one
do
that
you
I.
so do you tend to use Claude more? Do you how much of okay, so if you're supporting like for your business, the accounting business you do, I know you do so many other things, but
Yes.
for accounting business, do you jump right into Claude rather than perhaps
Yes.
do your posting of your
Yes.
bookkeeping? Do you do the bookkeeping and then
So
produce the accounts, or do you use Claude to do that?
I use Claude to do that. So what I showed you before was this, and the way which I'll show you in today is probably towards the end of our session today is now the difference between doing this because right now I'm online and this is
Mm,
what you have access to. But I use what is called Claude Code. and Claude um, Cowork. So Claude Cowork is a system that sits on my machine, and I
Okay.
instruct it so I can do coding with it. I
Okay.
can do so I can build a mobile app, for example, here, um,
Mm,
or Claude Cowork, which is the ones I was showing you before. This gets access to my files on my machine. So
okay.
it's not online, it's interacting with files on my machine. Then you've got chat, which is this one.
Claude
So
chat or
yes,
chat GPT.
yes. Not chat GPT, it's Claude chat. So the chat,
Okay.
yes, so the chat just comes from that you are chatting with it back and forth. So ChatGPT, when they launched, because it's like a chatbot, initially the idea was it's a chatbot. You chat to it back and forth. You ask it something, it responds to you, and you can talk to it. So
Mm,
ChatGPT then gave themselves the name ChatGPT because
mm,
generative, pre-trained transformer. So that's where the GPT comes from.
mm,
Um, and you will hear also people talk about LLMs, which is large language models, and
mm,
all of these they are large language models. So the training that I did with NHS in October last year, I think it was October 17th, I kind of like went into the basics of all of that, which are okay, they're important, but I
think I
think
missed I missed that one.
y-
I wasn't part
yes,
of that one. Yeah.
but I think we've kind of like gone beyond that generally as a society in terms of yes, it's good to understand that ChatGPT, the GPT side of things. When I go into my trainings, I start by explaining what exactly are you doing with that, and I've kind of like covered that with you here, where I was showing you the four different things because what it is doing, it's generating because it's generative transformer. It's generating based on what it has been trained. When you teach an 8-year-old accounting, this is what you do. When you teach a a university student, because what it's doing is going to reference all the files that have to do with first year accounting. So what I'm trying to do with my prompting is be as specific as possible. If I had a a PA and I have a personal assistant and I want to order, let's say, printing paper,
Mm,
and if I'm ordering printing paper and I have a personal assistant, if I mean, well, we used to call it bond paper back in the day. If I want bond paper, I want one the cheapest where you can just type black and white. But if I want to print photographies, if I want to print photos on it, and we're using it for the highest quality, I would tell them what kind of paper it's going to be called. It, if you're looking at printing paper, they use GSM as the weight of the paper. Do I want it to be gloss? Do I want it to be lat or laminate? Matte, I mean, not lat, matte. Do I want it to be matte? So I will specifically say to them, I want you to buy paper that is gross, that is perfect for printing, for a Canon printer, and it is A4 or A1. I won't just say to them, go and buy paper
yeah.
because they will just come to me with bond paper, which is just a plain one. And then I go back to them, oh, you brought me the wrong one. Now, the failure there is I failed them to, like you said, garbage in, garbage out. You have an intern and you just say, go to the corner, buy some paper. They'll just go and buy whatever paper.
That's
But they
right.
might, yeah. Oh, but they might also just say, if they're wise enough, they say, what exactly do you want? What kind
Yeah.
of paper do you want? So that's kind of like how we need to treat these AIs. So yeah, so in terms of that same one that we were looking at before, so we had this and then we had that. So I'm working on a book to teach. So let's see what Claude would do.
Can we put some of those prompts, I was asking for some questions? Can I give you some questions and we put in?
Yes, but it might be too early for that.
Okay.
Mhm. It might be too early. I think we probably need to look at that in our next session, and then kind of like when you take this away. And what I will do as well is I'll prepare a summary document because we're recording this, a summary document for and create something for you to practice based on our training. Again, the reason why we're recording this, because I'll come back to my Claude and say, I could even just put a message right now based on what we're talking about. Message for Claude, create an exercise that Irene can work on to practice the things that we've talked about. Give her 3 exercises to work on that we can look at in our next session. So you notice now, because I understand really how things work, I've left a message for Claude. When I input it there, it will create some exercises for you, which I'll share with you. And that's kind of like what I really, really want to emphasize today is being very, very specific and intentional in terms of what you're trying to do.
Mm.
Mhm. Now, notice the difference between Claude and it will. This will answer the your question about why do I prefer Claude and why do I prefer ChatGPT. Now, you notice if I look at them side by side, I said to ChatGPT, I'm working on a book to teach students, etc., right? And then it jumped to just give me answers, right?
Mm.
And gave me answer. We were happy with this, by the way. Before we were happy with this because it went page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. Now this is what I like about Claude. Claude goes to says to me, "Oh, what a fun project! Quick questions before I suggest a structure. Number 1, what's the age sweet spot you're targeting? Under 10 is a wide range. A book for 5-year-olds looks different to a book aimed at 8 and 9-year-olds.
Mm.
ChatGPT didn't do this, did it?
No.
It didn't. It just said, fantastic. There we go. Here's an answer.
Mm.
And this is where you will see that when people say, oh, I went to training for AI and I'm trying things, it's not working. Why? Because ChatGPT is just saying, it's just assuming. Now you can put more guardrails and more prompting and having like, I could have been more specific because one way of doing this is I could be more specific in my prompt. And instead of saying for under 10, I could say for a 5-year-old who lives in England and use the context of Manchester.
Mm.
So that's one way of really understanding, working and describing your context. But I love my Claude for this. So it says, okay, what age range do you want? Right? And then it says, what's the core concept you want them to walk away? For example, just the idea of money in, saving versus spending, simple business lemonade stand, or a broad intro to what accounting is. Then 3, the tone and the approach. Are you thinking of a story-driven narrative, e.g., a child character runs a small business, a workbook style, or more often illustrated explainer? Will there be activities in the book? Things like fill in the blank, draw your own, or is it purely a read through book? 5, who's the primary reader? The child alone, child and parent? You see how advanced Claude is.
Yep.
So let's say, okay, I could say 8-year-old, number 1. So I could then go ahead and say, okay, 8-year-old. 2, what's the concept we want them to walk away with? Let's say saving. Now, based on what I am giving it, this will shape how it's going to go. So I picked saving, and then I say, okay, I want a workbook style with activities. 4, um, I want fill in the blank, or I could say something else depending on what exactly I want. But this is now refining my context, that context that we talked about before when we went 5-year-old, 50-year-old, first
Yeah.
year. And And then who's the primary reader? I want them to work together. And then Claude is going to,
Okay.
there you go. Says again, it's really trying to understand my concept. One
Yeah.
last question. Before I map this, what's the setting? For example, lemonade stand, piggyback adventure, birthday money, a story. Let's go. Maybe I want to teach my child